What up, YouTube? My name is Dane. Just coming back with another story of something that I've experienced. Yeah, I'm sure you guys can relate to this. I guess this would be like a kind of just a tactic that they'll use. The stalkers is like ganging up on you, and the crow's going nuts. Ganging up on you and trying to bully you and put fear in you. And like this was a little bit fearful for me, but I was able to stand my ground. And one thing I've noticed is when they're trying to put the fear on you, is if you stand your ground and don't back down. Most of the time, at least actually all the time that they've threatened me, and I've stood there and you know, told them to do what they're saying they're gonna do, they haven't done it. So that tells me that they're doing it for an effect, for a reaction, to try to put fear on you. And I spoke about this kind of in another video where I talked about agreeing with fear, you know. So the power comes when we start agreeing with the lie that they're gonna hurt us, or whatever they're trying to lie to you about. If you agree with that, then the fear, the anxiety, the stress comes upon you a lot heavier. And so one of my older videos, I talk about that if you're interested. So I'll just get into the story. So at this point, I had some things that I was trying to sell, right? I was going back to this area. It's a bad area, right? It's like a camp. It's like a homeless camp, basically. And I knew some people in there that I could sell the things that I had, at least try to, you know. So I used to stay back in there, right? And so at this point, I had kind of been in another area, you know, moving around and all that stuff. And I came back probably after not being there for a few days. And so the way this area is set up, it's like there's a trail from the street in this vacant lot down through like this wooded area, not like heavily wooded, but lightly wooded area. And so it's like a trail that runs through this long camp, probably like almost like a quarter mile. And I was going towards the end of it. So first thing I noticed this day was like it felt different back there. I'm like, because I've been back there, I've stayed back there. I knew a lot of people that were back there, but it was like all the people that I knew weren't there. And it was like, I'm noticing, I'm just like, man, it seems really empty, except for along the trail. I saw a few people like kind of just posted up, not really. It was weird because they were by the trail, but they're solo, right? So I could see like 3 people down the trail, spaced out like a ways apart, you know, maybe like a couple football fields apart a piece. And these people weren't doing anything. It's like they're just kind of like sitting there right next to the trail, like doing nothing, like just standing there, just kind of mindlessly. And you know, obviously a lot of those people are on drugs and stuff, so I'm like, but I'm now like looking back, it was weird for sure. And I even at the time, I'm like, something feels off, but I kept going because like I needed to go try to get this money, right? And so I passed one of them on this trail, right? Don't say anything to him, and like I said, I'm just like, I look at him and he's just kind of like in a zone, you know, like dazed out, staring off like at a tree. Didn't even like acknowledge me. It's like not normal behavior, right? So like I pass him, and then I see another one coming down the trail. He's doing the same thing, right? I passed 2. I ended up passing 3 of these guys, right? And then I see another one at the end of the trail too, that he's doing the same thing. So they're all along this trail. And so like I'm looking around, I don't see really anyone I know until I see this native cat that I know named Carl, right? And I'm showing him what I got. I'm like, hey, you wanna, you know, buy this and stuff? And so he's like, yeah, come sit down. And so Me and him are sitting to the left of this trail, like we're seated on this hill. And as I'm talking to him, you know, and he's not acting weird or nothing. Like, this guy was kind of, you know, somewhat my friend. And so we're kind of chopping it up, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm looking down the trail, and the three guys are all walking down the trail. This time they're closer together. They're walking down the trail, and then the one guy on the other side of me is walking down the trail, both coming to meet. Like, I'm here in the middle, three on this side, one on this side. And so they all are walking down the trail, and I'm like, at first I'm just like, okay, maybe this is like coincidence or whatever. But I'm telling you, they weren't like, it didn't seem like they were together when I walked in. Like, they were so far apart, not speaking, like not looking at each other, none of that. But now all of a sudden they're grouped up and they're coming down the trail. And so I'm sitting there, and all four of these dudes in unison, right? They come over and stand right in front of me and start forming like a circle around me, right? And so I'm just looking at them. I'm like staring at them in their face, right? And so I go, okay. So I looked around, and I seen like a mop stick, right? And I grabbed it, and I said, so what are you guys here for? Right? Because at this time, like, I've been going through this, right? And at first, this stuff was really, I would run from this, right? But I stopped running. Like, I stopped letting them make me cower, you know? So, like, I'm looking at them dead in their face. I said, what's up? I said, what do you guys want? What are you doing here? I said, all you guys are surrounding me like you want something, like, and none of them say a word. They're all just like weird face, staring at me, not saying, they didn't say one word. And so I grab this stick, right, and I start knocking on the ground, and I was like, okay, you're here, let's go. Who's stepping up? Like, and I start swinging this thing, right? I'm like, come on. And dude, their facial expression doesn't change. They don't say a word. They're just staring at me. And eventually, like, I tell the dude I'm with, I'm like, you know, I sell him that, and I'm just like, all right, I'm leaving. And so as I'm, I scoot around them, right? How they circle around me. I go through, because I have like a weapon in my hands, right? And none of them even like step towards me or nothing. Like, they just, all of them just watched me head out, head out down the trail, and they just stayed there. And yeah, so I mean, that's what happened. Obviously they're there to put some sort of fear on me or whatever, but I stood my ground, and, you know, I basically was like, if you're here for something, come get it, you know. And they couldn't go past a certain point, you know. That's the way I see it. So I don't know, maybe you guys can relate to that story. It's been really cool just connecting with you guys and hearing about some of the things you guys have experienced. You know, I know it's tough because you can't really talk to a lot of people about things like this, you know. And this isn't something that's like how could that be paranoia? You know what I'm saying? Like, 4 dudes showed up in front of me and stood around me and just stared at me. Like, that's not something, that's not normal, you know. So why are they doing it? You know, I think they're possessed, to be honest. But, you know, God's hand has been on me through the whole thing, and I've noticed that there's limits to what they can do, you know. And I believe God allows the stalking for many reasons, but to really draw us close to Him, because I had no other help out there. Like, no one was helping me. It was like I only had God to rely on, and through these experiences, I learned that God is as the Bible says, it says that He's our ever-present help in time of danger and time of trouble. And I've learned that, you know. It's like, as soon as this stuff would starting to happen, I was leaning on God, you know. I was trusting that God wouldn't let them touch me, and they never did, even though I was threatened many, many times. They tried to intimidate me so many times, and it worked a lot of times, you know, but eventually when my faith was built in God, is like, you guys can't, I would tell people, you're not going to touch me. Like, unless God allows it, you ain't touching me. And they didn't like that, you know. So I'm telling you, Jesus is a shelter and a refuge for you guys. If you're going through this, seek the Lord. You got to start reading your Bible. You know, if you guys have questions, I'll drop my email. If you guys, you know, have no one to talk to, I'll talk to you. Really, because I understand how like isolating and you know, just confusing it is. So anyways, that's all I got today. Have a good day, guys. God bless y'all.